So it's under tab B, it's under tab 8B, it's A.A.B. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the right one. 10. I'd like to direct your attention to exhibit A10. So before I ask you questions about that, can you tell us what your title is with the Cecil Township?
The Director of Zoning.
What are your duties in connection? What's your duties in connection with the issuance of a building permit?
I receive the permit and review it for zoning compliance. Then it goes off to the building inspector, who reviews it for code compliance and calculates the fee. And then we issue the physical placard and contact for payment.
You said you received the permit. You receive applications for permits, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And do your duties require you to be familiar with the sunshine law?
No, sir.
You don't. Okay. Now I'd like you to take a look at, does it require you to be familiar with the provisions of the zoning ordinance, part of the unified code of the Township of Cecil?
Yes, sir.
If you look at exhibit A10, do you recognize this document? Have you seen it before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And could you tell the board what it is?
The findings of fact.
Findings of fact by,
I'm sorry?
and who issued these findings of fact?
The township.
Okay. It was the supervisors, right? That's distinguished from the zoning.
Oh, yes, sir.
Right, okay. And if you look at the last page, and this was, is it correct to say, these are the findings of fact of the decision on Crown Castle's conditional use application. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. This decision, if you look at the very last page, where it says decision, what's the date of this decision?
May 7th, 2018.
Right. And then if you look in the language, it says date of decision, May 7, 2018, but up above, does that indicate as to when the vote of the supervisors actually occurred?
May 7th, 2018.
Okay. Were you employed as the zoning officer or acting zoning officer on May 7, 2018?
No, sir.
When did you become employed as the acting zoning officer?
That would have been April of 2019.
April of 2019. Okay.
Yes.
And then when were you appointed the zoning officer?
January 2020.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'd now like to direct your attention to exhibit, so I'll move for admission exhibit 10.
No objection.
I'd like to direct your attention now to exhibit 11. And it's fair to say that section 403 is a section of the zoning ordinance which regulates conditional uses.
Yes, sir.
And Crown Castle's decision that we just saw as exhibit 10 was a conditional use approval, was it not?
Yes.
All right. I'd like you to turn to page 62, and that's, the reference would be section 403H. Now, are you as the zoning officer bound by the terms of section 403H?
Objection to the extent calls for a legal conclusion.
Did you respond to me?
No, sir.
Is that your response?
Am I bound to I'm sorry.
Are you bound to follow the provisions of the zoning ordinance in your duty, in the performance of your duties?
If I place an objection on the record to the extent calls for a legal conclusion, as a layperson, she can answer.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I was confused.
So let's just take a look at H. A conditional use granted by the Board of Supervisors, and that's what happened, right?
Yes, sir.
And the date of that approval was May 7th, 2019, right?
28.
Check it, 2018, you're right, I'm sorry. Okay, that's right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Reading on. Automatically expires without written notice to the applicant. If no application for occupancy permit to commence a use, etc. Now, to commence a use or no building permit to undertake the work described in the decision granting the conditional use has been submitted within 12 months of said decision. Then we'll go on. So 12 months of Exhibit 10, the decision would be May 7th, 2019, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, did Crown Castle, did Crown Castle apply for and receive, or submit an application for an occupancy permit prior to May 7th, 2019?
No, sir.
Did Crown Castle commence a cell tower use? Can you, prior to May 7th, 2019?
No, sir.
There's not a tower there today, right?
Correct.
Did Crown Castle apply for or receive a building permit to undertake the work described in the conditional use approval prior to May 7th, 2019?
No, sir.
Did the board extend the time period beyond May 7th, 2019?
No.
Do you know whether the township received a written request of Crown Castle prior to May 17th, 2019 to extend the conditional use approval?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you know whether the Exhibit 10, the conditional use approval, whether the board in that document provided that Crown Castle would have more than 12 months within which its conditional use approval would be valid or enforced?
They did not.
Are you aware of any provision of the unified code, including the zoning ordinance of Cecil Township, which delegates the power from the board to the zoning officer to extend a conditional use approval?
Objection states that it calls for a legal conclusion. You can do your best to answer the layperson.
No, I don't believe there's anything that delegates that responsibility to me. But it is my understanding there are circumstances that would delay the approval or the beginning of that
What are the
time
sources?
period.
What's the source of the authority that you're referring to that would extend the time limitation on a conditional use, other than what the Board of Supervisors provided for in 403H? Where would I find it?
Let me place an objection on the record to the extent you're trying to elicit legal recommendations and legal advice from the zoning officer. We will, after the evidence is put into the record, talk about what this case is really about, which is it's a legal determination. And that is something for the attorneys to argue and for this board to decide as a legal determination. So to the extent he is trying to elicit any advice that the zoning officer may have received, legal advice related to this matter, I would object to that and instruct her not to answer related to any legal advice she received. But I'm sure we will all, after this hearing, provide you with our legal opinion as to why each conditional use is not expired.
Yeah, I mean, she made the statement that she understood that there were some bases upon which it could be extended. I'm just asking, I mean, we don't know if it was legal counsel or if it was something she read in a magazine or what. So what's the source of that understanding?
Legal counsel.
Okay. And I'd like to direct your attention to Exhibit A.11.A, that's Section 406 of the ordinance. And it's the last sentence, well, it's not the last sentence, it's the last full sentence on this page says, I'm going to skip a little bit. In cases where a conditional use is required, a building permit shall be issued only after the foregoing approval has been granted. So, what did you believe that the conditional use application, you didn't have any belief that the board extended the conditional use approval on February 11, 2020, is that right?
Yes, sir.
It's right that that was not your understanding?
Correct.
Okay. And I presume it wasn't your understanding that there had been any court decision that said that they would have a longer period of time. Is that correct? I mean, specific to this case, involving Cecil Township or Crown Castle, not in the whole Pennsylvania jurisprudence. But did you think that there was a judge in Washington County, for example, had said it was okay to extend the conditional use approval, or if that issue had ever come up before?
No.
Okay. I'd like to turn to Exhibit 12. Now, have you seen this letter before? It was directed to Mr. Augustine, the chairman of the zoning hearing board.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Volz, legal counsel for the zoning hearing board, who is not here tonight. Colleague is here tonight. Said that what we would do tonight is just see if this remains necessary. One of the things that we were seeking was the building permit application and the building permit, which is a subject of this hearing, but which we've never seen. Is the township willing, able, ready to produce the building permit, which is the subject of this hearing?
I intend to enter into evidence with Ms. Ross when I question her.
Okay, but until then, you're keeping it.
Years and years.
Thank you. Well, it's been a long time. It's been since February of 11th of 2020. Okay, thank you. Ms. Ross, was there any, to the best of your knowledge, did you or the township provide any public notice in connection with the issuance of the building permit on February 11, 2020?
No, sir.
And you didn't think you're required to either, right?
Correct.
We don't think you're required to either. Did you provide any direct notice to Dennis Sluciak,
No, sir.
the township, that the building permit was submitted?
I did not.
Okay. Is it your understanding that if a conditional use application is expired, or variance approval, if any of those uses have expired, that you could not issue a building permit?